Hello, audience. Welcome back. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're not too suicidal because somebody asked me to talk about suicide. And since I'm always up for fun, entertaining subjects, I said I'm down for it. But let's get serious for a second. Ah, well, the first thing we gotta ask ourselves, I guess, about this problem of suicide is why would anybody want to quit this game? Why would anybody want to quit this game? And the two reasons pop to mind is that somebody is either um, rage quitting, which is like a murder suicide urge, or somebody is um, just bored out of it and just don't want to play it anymore. So there's two reasons, okay? And those two reasons have something uh, in common. And if we find that in common, I think that would be the solution to it. Now, another thing I want to say, how do you know that if you kill your body, that that problem will not that the problem will go away? There's a flaw in this logic. Of course, if we're trying to be rational here, and if you consider yourself a rational being, this theory that if I kill my body, my problem's gonna go away is not really founded. You don't have any proof that that's what's going to happen. In fact, it's very likely that the opposite is going to happen. How would you know that? If you ever had a nightmare, the experience was not part of the physical reality, yet you had the pain, and yet you had, uh, you know, depression, I suppose, or whatever the experience was about, right? If you had that dream. Now, that suggests that you don't have the physical reality, you don't need the physical reality to still be in pain or depression. So that's one thing. You can observe it in yourself, okay? Say, yep, that's true. It was nothing to do with physical reality. Physical reality was off. I was in astral reality or dream world. And yes, I did feel pain, which means that if I terminate the physical, that doesn't mean that my pain is gonna go away. You see? So then you may start looking for a solution another way. And you may say, well, I tried drinking myself to death, that didn't work. I tried to take this, take that, and none of that worked. Um, Pacifying that problem that you have, which is what? Which is a pain or pressure. This is how I describe those two things. And let's just look at it a little bit deeper. Let me try to illustrate this through the physics diagram, I suppose, So, um, and then I'll talk a little bit about my personal experience. Triangle, okay? That point right here is what you would call pain or agony. That's hell. And what it is, it's this energy spiraling down and being squeezed, 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 squeezed into that center. And that motion is what you can call, you know, constriction or pain or whatever you want to call it. It also has anger and all these other this direction, emotions. Okay, so at top would be like an agony, right? There's you cannot feel more pain than that. That would be, and as you can see, that would be the highest frequency. That would be the highest frequency in this illustration that would uh, create the most pain. And of course, as you can see anywhere else, that would be like less, 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 and then at the bottom that would be very little. Okay, So then now we look at this, the spiraling towards pain, the spiraling towards hell. Okay, and that happens, as you can see, if the fire is moving in the opposite direction. The fire must be expanding, but in this case it's contracting. Okay, so now then the other side, that would be one reason why somebody would want to end life, is because of excruciating pain. So you want to end this, terminate the simulation because of the pain. But like I said before, that does not mean that your pain is going to go away. Okay. You may have, again, I've never I've never committed suicide. I suppose I can't tell you what really happens after you do this, but like I have explored the astral reality, which presumably is what um, is after death is like. So, but what I want to say here is that perhaps that you may have some help, right? And it's so perhaps, but the thing is that I want to say is that if you quit this game, the next game you're gonna probably start with the exact same position where you were before. And so my question I have to say is, do you really want to do this cycle, or do you want to end this? And if you do want to end this, look at this opportunity as this pain that is inside you as an opportunity. And on the other side, if you look at the other triangle, let me see if I can do this with my fingers. Well, like that. Okay. And this is the opposite, and it depicts the abyss, like it's the spiraling towards the like expanding, right? And so that it creates like this, no motion. The ray here would be high frequency, and it would be very low frequency. So then you have a problem of very, very high frequency that is not well, I'm not gonna spoil this right now, but let's say there's very, very high frequency of energy and it's very, very low frequency of energy. So on one side there's agony, another side there's um, depression or pressure. I call it pain or pressure. This is what usually how it boils down to if you really, really look deep inside, right? And that, for example, abyss thing may be like at first, maybe like when it's spiraling down, it's boredom. It goes a little bit deeper, then maybe like a nausea, then maybe like a pressure, and in the end, it's probably feels like this pressure, like you're being squeezed. Um, and depression is from that word pressure, okay? And that's probably why you would want to quit this game as well, because um, you just don't see what else here for you to do, and you want to check out. But there's a problem with this logic, is that there's an assumption that there is something else, that where you are right now isn't the best place where you should be. That's the logic, you see. But if we don't look at the logic, and if we look at what's really going on, we have two problems. We have pain or pressure. This is why we don't want pain and we don't want that pressure. And so we want to separate ourselves from that pain, separate ourselves from that pressure, and so we can um, end it. So those two problems. And I think anybody can relate to that. And degree of it, you can see that there's a downward spiral, so to speak. Maybe this way would be the best way. That would be downward spiral to hell, and that would be downward spiral to abyss. Okay? Downward spiral to hell, downward spiral to abyss. I'm illustrating like this at this just for the sake of understanding that there is a process of spiraling. Everything moves in spirals. The solution to this okay, let me ask you this. Why is this a problem? This point, this squeezing of that fire energy, why is it a problem? Because it doesn't have that high frequency energy, it doesn't have the balancing low frequency energy. That fire doesn't have the water to become this, liquid fire, the lightning. Um, so this is why, you know, these figures without balancing, this triangle like that and this triangle like this, when they're both together, you can see that it forms the Star of David. That indicates uh, the time and an infinite in one. Because only in time that pain exists. Only in time that pressure exists. Which means that the way out of this is the opposite of what it is. Okay, so let me talk about like my personal experience. Um, let me talk about hell. And it is very possible that there are 7 hells and 7 abysses, and then the intensity of the hell, each level is higher, higher, and higher. Okay? Now, sorry about that. My mate is too strong. Much better. Okay, what were we talking about? Yes, my experiences with hell. Okay? So, I was brought to this point where nothing that I can do outside, whether I smoke weed or nothing helps, and yet there is pain inside of me. And I was brought to this point where I cannot do anything else. Um, and of course, there are thoughts of like ending it, right? And so what, like your brain doesn't really know the solution, so it's like, well, just end the body and that will end, and that is stupid. Of course it's stupid, but nevertheless these thoughts arise. It's like, fuck, I just want to end this, you know. It's natural to have these thoughts, but these thoughts really want to end itself, you know. But what we do, and what I did, is first I tried to rid of it. I tried to rid of that pain, because that's just logic tells you that you can rid of it. The thing is that, but the physics tells us that you cannot rid anything because everything is connected. So you cannot disconnect anything from you. You cannot disconnect anything from you. You can only connect. This is why sometimes people like, oh, just let go of attachment. Don't be attached. Don't be attached. And it's like, what do you think you're going to end up? You're going to end up in abyss if you're going to keep letting go of the attachment. Abyss is something that is trying to be not connected with anything. Yet there is still, in the deepest abyss, there's still one point of connection that is still going to be there. That divine spark, it never goes away. In the deepest abyss, there's this one point may be still there. And that's actually, how you find yourself. Knowing that you are, you can divide everything, but what you cannot divide is this one thing, the singularity. It cannot be divisible anymore. And when you find yourself to be that singularity point in the experience of abyss, You're like, holy shit, I cannot separate this anymore. I am this. Then you're an individual because you're an indivisive. Actually, individual or universal, that's nothing. But you know that you're that divine spark because you kind of find yourself. Okay, I'm spoiling too much, and I'm going into the abyss. But let me just go back to hell. Let's just go back to hell, guys. Follow me to hell. But seriously, so the hell, okay? So I couldn't do anything, and I tried to rid of it, and I tried to rid of it, did whatever I could, and I could not rid of it. And then in the end, I just sat there and said, all right, if I can't get rid of it, I'm just gonna live with it. It's just fuck it, let it be there, right? And in that moment, that pain, that intense pain, that which it seems like a fire, in that moment, it started dissipating, and it filled all my awareness, I suppose, everything that is in my field of awareness, that air that is around me, so to speak, right? In my experience inside of me, it filled with this intense and warm peace. That fire sort of diluted in that water. And everything was just like, what the fuck? Intense, intense peace. I became that pain, finally, surrendering, right? That word, we use that word surrender. And in my case, that's how it was. I was fighting it, and in the end, I wasn't able to do anything about it. I looked at it, but I was so deep in it. I was so focused on it, I found it, I saw it. I said, this is my pain. And I dove deeper and deeper and deeper. You cannot dive any kind of deeper into it. And when I was at the deepest point that you cannot dive any deeper, at that point I surrendered. And that intensity, that contraction of that energy just dissipated. And it's sort of like the singularity became unity, or unity became singularity, whatever you want to call it. And I experienced like this intense peace that is just like sparkling, and many other things. And you know what? It was interesting is that I looked up, and in that moment, for whatever reason, there was Virgin Mary portrait, staring at me with that image of illumination, as much as you can illustrate on the picture, And I looked at that illumination, and I felt what the hell's going on around me, and I'm like, okay, I know what they're trying to draw there. Not because I'm like, oh yeah, that's illumination. No, because I was that thing. Okay. And so the word would be the surrender. The answer from being to hell is actually attention. First of all, you gotta put attention and find that source where that's coming from, as much as you can. Your mind may be, because that fire creates a lot of air, which is thoughts, and so the thoughts may be all over the place, but you got to like go into it. Your thoughts is like, oh, call for help, or do this or do that, but you gotta go. And if you can call, if you call for help, or okay, then you'll pacify it, and it may go away. But if you want to end this permanently, then that's what you do. Okay? And it's not dangerous. That's this, what I'm saying, because you're by yourself, the thoughts are running away, there's pain inside of you, and all you're doing is just attempting to focus where that pain is. That's all you're doing. It's not dangerous, because all you're doing is just focusing where that pain is. And as you focus, the more focus you have, and more attention you put on it, the quieter your thoughts become. They may still say like, well, get rid of it. That would be the last thought that you have. Rid of it. But when that thought ends, and there's nothing that wants to rid of it, that energy is released and you become it. And it's sort of like from that attention into the awareness. Attention and awareness become one thing. What's in between 0 and 1? I don't know, but you can call it like a flux. But that flux of continuous fluxing is where you discover the infinity. Okay? And so when you discover that infinity, that's what it's in your heart right now. Infinity. Before there was this, the knowledge written in your heart, or the beliefs, or whatever. Now your heart is becoming infinite. Which is, by the way, I mean to speak about this. The game is for your heart to become infinite, for your mind to become universal or singular, which is the same, because at the really, really core of your mind is the universal structure that everybody shares. And then in the body, which is also the programming in the brain, or everything, the body and the brain I consider as one thing, the word body, that must be unique. The heart must become infinite, the mind must become universal, and the body brain thing must become unique. That's what it's supposed to be. And this is how you know that you're expressing yourself fully through your, this game, and without any competition, because no one else can be you. You are unique. And when you find your uniqueness, your universality, and your infinity, honestly, that's where the game really begins. I consider like some people say like it's the end of the game, but I think it's the beginning. Because why is it the beginning? Because now you are free to create. You're free to create. Because it seems that in this game, the first we need to get out of this trap, like a Houdini move that we have to do first. And once we do this Houdini move, then we're free to create. But until you get out of this Houdini move, everything that you create is just going to contribute to that trap. You see, this is why I'm not this another guy, which is, I know a lot of people want to do good things and then teach people how to manifest, and I did this as well, and I realized that that's not a good thing. I should myself, I should learn to face those energies that are we consider to be the primordial existential problem, and from there, then mind and imagination stems from in a natural way. And so then I decided to focus on where the root cause is, something people call causal world. And at first it may be like the least fun world to focus on, but it actually it's the only one that actually sets you free. Then all the rest of it is kind of fun. All right, let's go to the abyss now. Come on, guys, let's go. Okay, now into the abyss. Abyss is that type of feeling that the pressure is like, okay, I'm done here. There's nothing else for me to do. I want out. There's just it's just like I can't get what I want in this world. I don't understand what people are doing around me. It's like I don't understand this world. I want out of it. And so you feel that depression. And at the deepest point, if in hell was agony, and this is a you know what it is? It's like a nauseating pressure. That's how I would say it. Like that's how I saw. That's how I felt it at the deepest point. This nauseating pressure that you just want to end it, and it's almost like you're like dying, but not able to die. It's like you're dying, but you're not able to die, and you're just like, hey, I just want to end this, and you can't. You can't end this. So that's the other side, right? The abyss. Now, um, the solution here, whereas before there was first we got to put the attention and then, which is courage, and then surrender. This, in this case, is the opposite. First, we surrender to what that thing is. We surrender to it, like we give space to it, like that pressure that is squeezing you, just poof, you surrender, and you know how it feels like. I actually felt like this buzzing energy that was just like, whereas in dissolution, this dissolving hell was intense peace. This was like intense vibration, but it's very like, anyway. I don't want to get into this into details too much, but you can totally become aware of what that pressure is or that nausea is. You can totally become aware. Give space to it. And that giving in that space, you become aware of it. Whereas before, the attention was the first point because you became aware of the source of that thing. You're not blaming your thoughts anymore because you found that motherfucker. Now here, you're becoming aware of that waters around you that's trying to squeeze you. It's trying to squeeze you, that pressure. And if there's anything that can be squeezed, is uncomfortable. So you become aware of that water that's trying to squeeze you. Okay? And then once you become aware of that water that's trying to squeeze you, then you bring out at least one point of attention. Where's this, at least the center of it? And when you find that center, it's the feeling is like the whole thing, that whatever was pressuring you, that energy is lighting it up. It's like lighting it up, and no longer feels uncomfortable, but it feels more like, man, like you set it on fire. Really, that's what it feels like. It feels like it's burning, but I shouldn't say burning. No, it's not burning. Okay, if it is burning, it's electric type of burning. You feel this electric burning, which is not the fire that was in hell. That was real temperature type of burning, if you will. This feels more like electric type of burning, and it feels really good. And it also, you know how it feels like? It feels like the pressure that was there, metaphorically speaking, of course, I'm doing my best to describe this, crushing whatever must be crushed, and whatever is left there is you. And whatever is left there, that one point of the awareness, that divine spark, lights everything up. That water is now illuminated. And in that moment, you are in the infinite as well. You see, on that end and on this end, it's the same. I should say not exactly the same. Because again, I'm doing the best with my brain to describe this, but if I were to say this, I would say that there's a blissful peace and peaceful bliss. if that makes sense. If any kind of way, I don't know, like you got to experience to really see, is this a peaceful bliss or a peaceful bliss, you know? And at some point, at the very, very center, they're all, then none of this matters. But like I suppose, like if you go more to this, there's going to be peaceful bliss, and then over here, me peaceful bliss. Excuse me, did I say peaceful bliss? Blissful peace, right? So that's the thing that I would describe it as different. But at the center, where peace and bliss is the same, that's the ultimate alignment. That's flux that's always running. That nuclear engine that never ends. That source energy. And that's what your heart is. And the whole wanting to kill yourself was stemming from either this pain or this pressure, which was opportunity to end the temporal heart and to connect with the infinite heart. That's what it was. And so this is just my description of the real solution. And why it's called solution? Sol, sun. You find the sun within yourself, that infinite process. That is your heart, that is your true heart. Okay? So, I know a lot of people are looking for the solutions and stuff like that. No, I'm showing you this is the solution. And the solution is the courage and surrender. Those are just two words to describe a certain type of focus that you can take. You see? And it's nothing to do with the brain. Okay, your brain may look with the eyes and focus with the eyes, like, okay, I'm focusing there and now I'm focusing on surroundings and focusing this. The eye can do this. That's, you know, that's part of your machinery. But you also have the heart, which is you can focus on your surroundings, awareness, and then attention. Attention and awareness is just two instruments that you have, and those are the really ones that you will need to use for this type of permanent transition if you want to have it. But as you can see, no one outside of you can do this. You have to go it alone on this one. And I know a lot of people say, like, well, that's not a good advice. If someone's suicidal, get help. Okay, try it. It's not going to last. You're going to go back to the same situation back again. And if you're tired of all these solutions that never really give you an end to it, and you really want to break through with this, the courage and surrender is the only two things. What's the alternative? Killing your body and then popping up in the astral, and now everything is even worse because it manifests instantly? You know, there might be some help that comes to you and says, like, all right, you know, and maybe somebody like me is telling you, okay, this is what you do right now. You're having this is what you do, and somebody can coach you through it of what you do with your awareness to purify yourself. Maybe that's what can happen there. I don't know, but don't count on it, because that's just a theory. So definitely. Anyway, okay, and there are degrees. I witnessed degrees. I described my experience, the ultimate experiences, where it was just like excruciating agony and just like a devastating abyss. Those are the two most powerful ones that I've experienced, and I don't think there's anything else besides this, to be honest. It doesn't feel like there's anything beyond. There might be more intense, but I don't know. I highly doubt it. But I have to be honest, for some reason, this process does not end. But what happens is that before, where it was pain inside me, now it feels amazing bliss. Whereas before was this pressure and depression, now feels like amazing peace. But the process does not end. And I still have to, like, there's still like some sort of form of pain arises, but like as soon as I focus on it, it becomes very easy. It dissipates real quickly. And the same thing with the depression. If there's a little bit of depression, I just move my awareness, focus, and do my thing, and it's just very easy to do this once you go through the big one or do it once. Okay, so that's pretty much the big one. If somebody wants to kill themselves, it's pretty much they are dealing with the big one. Um, okay. There might be many other ways to describe it. However, from the physics perspective and consciousness perspective, there isn't. And that is the real deal. I know people talking about, oh, let's just meditate a little bit. You can use the meditation to move away from it so you don't have to face it. That's not what I'm talking about. This is not it. And so you can call it, this is the real meditation. In fact, that's what I would say. Everything else, whatever people are doing, it's not a meditation. It's more like a trance-inducing self-hypnosis kind of thing. That's pretty much what it is. You just induce yourself in the trance, and so you don't have to, I guess, face it. But eventually it catches up with you, because of like all the solutions, like whether it's drinking, meditation, whatever you use not to face that thing, it will stop working. And in fact, I think it might be that the more you avoid it, the more intense gets. And sometimes people need to go to hell before to put that attention. Like I, for example, But even in my case, I was putting a lot of attention there before, not knowing what I'm doing. Just I was doing it to a certain degree, but this one was a big one, and I had to. I guess this particular process, depending on what kind of game you're playing, it appears that some of us, they choose like a deeper level of the game, so we have to go through this transition at a deeper level. Others a little bit lighter, so they go on a little bit lighter, depending on what kind of how deep we decided to dive, right? But the process is the same. Maybe someone doesn't want to really end their life, but they just don't really want to feel uncomfortable or in some degree of pain, and just, but then you see what I'm trying to say. But anyway, I don't want to babble too much. It's 38 minutes. That's my message of how to basically a real solution to the pain and depression, which are two ends of suffering, and this is how you end your suffering. Okay? How it happens, and all sorts of stories and how it happens, or whether it happens like in astral reality, whether it happens, all this, just the pictures around you. But what happens in your heart is one universal process that we all share. It's not different. We all share this existential pain and pressure. We all share this. And this particular one must be done alone. Now, to really answer this question, whether it can be done by somebody else, I have to say that I've actually considered this. Can this be done by somebody else? No, because you are talking about and accessing your own love or your own wisdom. Okay? And this cannot be done by another. You can borrow it, right? You can be next to a person like that. At least it will give you relief. or maybe some, there are suns and there are planets. So some people perhaps they just came here to play the game and not really play this philosopher's stone wisdom and love game. Maybe they just here to want to create and give this to somebody else who want to do this, to give them protection so they can play this game. Maybe you see, like, you can't put this onto everybody. But if you're considering suicide, you're probably one of those that has to do this transition, and you're probably one of those that is to be a sun here for other people. Okay. Now, I really considered of what can be done. Like, once you, for example, discover this within yourself, what can you do to other people? And you know what you can do? You can only get them to halfway. You can open their hearts. That's what you can do. I don't want to get in the physics of it, but this is, I really looked into this deeply and really watched what happens in nature, and like I really looked for a lot of evidence to see if that is the case. And then I studied also and look what's going on energetically and socially with this gurus and the followers, you know. And some of it there's this dysfunctional dynamic, and some there's real dynamic. And in the real dynamic, there's the person uses the guru as that source, as that infinite source of energy, to open their heart. And so if you have a heart of coal, a lot of these beliefs and all that stuff, and you want to wipe that out. And if you just, in this game where you just want to get to this halfway, which is, not to have that heart of coal, to the halfway, it's easy to get with somebody else. It will only take you halfway though. If if you have a person who is radiating that energy and you spend some time with them, you're automatically going to be aligned according to that energy. Just be around and just hang out with that type of person. That will definitely melt your heart of coal, and it's going to put you somewhere with an open heart. But now, the next journey, if you are willing to go to the next journey, you either always going to depend on the people like that, who are the source of love and wisdom, or now you're going to embark in your own love and wisdom journey, your own heroine journey, which is for love, and a hero's journey, which is for wisdom. Okay, you're going to have to embark on that journey. You got to know how, what's going on and all that stuff, how to play this game. Because if you go back to this matrix world and the challenge is going to come around, a lot of people, oh shit, I'm just going to go back to the ashram with my guru. And so they never really become independent individuals. They become just warming up in the light, in the warmth of a guru, which is another type of dependency. But it's probably the healthiest thing that you can do as a solution for suffering. But again, this is also dependent solution, and it's not really yours. You are borrowing it. But again, I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to go on these hero's journeys and heroine journey. You could possibly just, if that's what you want, honestly, if that's what you want. But you can't trick yourself, because if it's not for you and that's what you do, then that's not gonna feel right for you as well. And obviously, I like to test things out by myself, and I was in this sort of state where I was exploring and wanting to see what's that deal with the gurus and these saints and all that stuff. I wanted to explore it, and this is what I found. If someone is a real deal, they're just emanating that type of energy, and the energy is real, and I felt it, and it does feel like popping LSD or mushrooms, like if you really sit in that type of presence, but eventually, as you do, it's not really work. But when you face by yourself in solitude, you become your own mushroom, and you become your own LSD and DMT and all these other things. Okay. You don't need to consume these anymore. You become your own source of it. It's actually that pain was the most psychedelic thing that I've ever experienced. Actually, when I went into this warm peace, that was the most psychedelic thing that I've experienced. And it's difficult to describe it because but it was like I popped a DMT or something like that. That's how it was. The intensity of that piece. Um, okay. So that's how you play the game, and this is how you end suffering. Okay. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.